Greetings and hello and welcome to another Tie of the Week live on YouTube. Got a lot of action coming to you tonight. Big announcement. We'll start things off with the big announcement once we get things rolling. We have about seven minutes here. We'll get things started here right promptly at 6 o'clock. We'll wait for a couple of viewers to join the party. Don't want anybody to be tardy for the party. All tied up live. I'm gonna crack my beverage. There we go. How is everybody doing tonight? Doing good? Anybody out there yet? This is it's a rainy day today. A little opposite from last week. Last week it was almost miserable. Let me make sure my mute button is hit. There's always a couple of click arounds I gotta do before I get things completely started, which is why I like to start my stream just a couple minutes early. Get things going. Hit the share button a couple of times. Copy and paste a couple of links. And get all the shakies out of the voice. Waiting for unable to change syndicates. I don't know what that means. Okay. I don't know. I think I have a... I don't know. How we doing out there? Can I get some confirmation? Anybody out there? Is this, I believe we're streaming. I'll check things out on the watch page, and it looks like we are. So, let's see here. We'll get things going. Welcome once again. This is a beautiful day. Trying to hit that copy button. There we go. That did not work. I have no idea what just happened there. We'll hit stay. Good thing I'm better at time flies than I am messing around with the... Oh boy. I see what I did. Earlier I was experimenting. Well, not experimenting. I was doing some research. I was looking up the fishing reports, and for the Madison River Valley, that's where I'm going here in 1 month. Gonna tie some flies for that. I've tied a lot of flies for Montana trip already. But one of the things I wanted to do is go back in time and read fishing reports for the area I'm going to be fishing in, the Madison River Valley, particularly in and around $3 Bridge. And I could not think of what better resource to go to than Kelly Gallup's Slide In, and go back and read his reports. And I kept things isolated to about the mid-July. Haven't read into it too deep. That was a lot of copying and pasting to get things going. So I'm going to be reading that. That's going to be my reading material here. 7 pages long I ended up. So let's see here. We got about a minute to go. Welcome once again. A little bit of an announcement as we get started. Let's see. All right, here we go. I am able to see the chat now. Maybe. There we go. Donna, good evening. Hey, Donna, I want you to stick around. I hope you're doing well. A while ago, you asked a question about the nail knot and how to tie the nail knot. And I found one of these. And it is a nail knot tool, which is interesting. Well, they're not going to call it the nail knot tool. It's a tie fast, knot tire. So we'll get to that after we tie our first fly. Get into that little bit of action. But let's see. I got 6 o'clock. It's time to go. Let me plug in the computer, as it has come unplugged, so I can monitor the chat. Here we go. And we're off. 6 o'clock. All right. So, a little bit of backstory. I have a gentleman out in, here we go, 6 o'clock. I have a gentleman out in Norway that I've been Facebooking and chatting with and whatnot. Long story short, this awesome fellow has sent me a book. Problem is, it's all in Norwegian, but good thing for Google Translate. I can just hold my phone over this, and with a little bit of luck, I can get at least somewhat of a translation. So there are 991 patterns in this book, and what makes this book extra cool is from beginning to front, this book is, all the flies are labeled in it alphabetically. So I'm always trying to think of my viewers and trying to keep things interesting, and what I decided to do is I am going to do a tying series that I'm working from A to Z. I'm not going to tie all 991 patterns in there. That would just take me forever. But starting today, I am going to start working my way through A to Z. It's not going to be my only limitation as far as flies. I'm not going to restrict myself to that if something else comes in between. But throughout the next, few months, 6-8 months, or at least 26 videos, we'll be a tie-in alphabetically. So should be a lot of fun. And starting with the letter A, we are going to tie a pattern called Apple Green. There's the picture of it down there. Apple Green. That's going to be my first one for this video series. Flies A to Z. So let's go ahead and get things set up. We'll move our graphics. Sounds like my wife just got home from work. We'll get the vise hooked up here, and we'll throw a sample on there because I did practice a couple of these prior. We'll get the sample in there. So that is a fly called the Apple Green. That top light's almost a little too hot. Let's see if we can't change that up a little bit. Anyways, so this is a silk floss body. I am using green silk floss. The tail is a white Fibbit, and the body is a white hackle. It's that simple. So anyways, the hook that I'm using, I'm keeping it old school on this one. I am using a Margate custom dry fly hook. This is an old an old Herder's hook. Let's see, what is that number? 3029T. It's a 1X fine wire, and it's a 2X long shank. So that gives me that extra long body. And just so we can kind of compare it to the green apple. I tried taking a picture. I pulled a green apple out to try to take a picture of it, but it didn't turn out too well. So, all right, let's do a quick shout out. Who do we have out there? Leave me a comment in the comment section. If you're watching on a different platform, hop over to YouTube and tune in there. That way we can say hiya and a helloa. So here we go. We'll go ahead and get our hook out. Don't have too many of these hooks left, so we'll just tie a few more up. All right, so we'll go ahead and secure our hook in the vise. Thread, this is an 8/0 olive waxed thread. And like all good flies, this will begin with just a single wrap of thread. We'll do a few more, locking that all down. And trim off that tag end. Yeah, I was really excited about finding that little nail knot tool. So the Fibbits have these nice fine tapered ends, and they're all glued together on the bottom. And the trick is to grab 3 and 3 only for this pattern. 1, 2. Just kind of keep working them around. 1, 2, 3. I think. There we go. So we got our 3 fibers, our little Fibbit fibers. We'll make sure the tips are lined up, and we can just snap them off. Let's go ahead and measure them out. We'll measure that out proportionate. 1 hook's length. We'll get our thread. Sometimes I do that. I get working with my material and my thread is not quite in position. Spin our bobbin counterclockwise a couple of turns. Just a little bit long. Here we go. And we'll carefully bind this down. This is going to bring this forward the full length of the body. And this is a 1X, what is a 1X or 2X fine? 1X fine wire. So as you get towards the eye, you really don't want to get to yanking and cranking on these old hooks. Trim off our excess. Well, we got a quiet group out there tonight. I got one person in the chat, and that is Donna. Donna. How is it going? Anyways, next step is going to be our silk floss body. I just realized what I forgot to do. Let's see if I can salvage this. We're going to back this all up. It all went awry at the very beginning. But I can carefully set this off to the side. Alright, so what I did not do, what I should have done, so we'll just wind this all back. I wanted to leave my tag end on that beginning first wrap of thread, because I'm going to use that as a ribbing. So So we'll back this all up. We'll get that tied in there. That's where things went wrong. Got ahead of myself, so we'll set that off to the side. Still got my 3 fibbits. I can still line those in. See, there you go, folks. You can have a slight error in judgment. Things can go awry, but we can always recover. Alright, so the fibbits are tied in. I got my little thread out there. Alright, we got Jimmy. We got Jimmy. Jimmy. You got your popcorn tonight, buddy? Where's your chip gonna be there? I think you're, if I remember correctly, you're counting down for a trip. 9 days, 8 days. All right, let's get back to things. Silk floss. So my silk floss comes in 4 strands. This is actually labeled as cow dung olive. That's such an appealing sounding color. So anyways, this comes as 4 strands. And I'm just going to trim that off because I'm not going to use all 4 strands. I'm going to split this up and I'm going to divide it in half and use 2 strands of silk floss. I'll wet my ends, kind of join them together, and do my up and under. And we can work the silk floss the length of the body towards the bend of the hook. And nice tight wraps working our way back towards the eye. And I mean, I guess you could get away with just using the green tying thread as the body. But I really like the way the silk floss. I like the look on that silk floss. Yeah, that Mr. Glass. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. So I'm gonna palmer on this green floss, and I don't know if the camera can really pick it up that well, but I'm doing touching wraps, just bringing it from the rear to the front. Slight, ever so slight overlap. Really want to be mindful of the tip of the hook, especially with the floss. This floss will just explode and disintegrate upon touching the tip of that hook. So nice tight wraps, rear to the front, and I'm going to stop at that, I don't know, we'll call that the 2/3, 1/3 point. That's where I'm going to do all my hackle will be forward of this. So we'll secure that down good and tight and trim off our scrap. Alright, real simple, that beginning tag end of thread. I'm just going to do some counter wraps with that. It has a very, very subtle ribbing to it. My theory is this is just going to add just a little bit of extra protection for that silk floss. I mean, it's a dry fly, it's fragile, it's a 1X fine, etc., etc. But it is what it is. Yeah, Jimmy, I'm really glad to see that that Mr. Glass is working great on you. All right, so hackle. Check your time. What time is it? It's hackle time. All right, so I got this old piece of bird here. This little mini patch of feathers. Anyways, I don't know what happened. Must have sat out prior owner. I'm the second owner of a lot of my material. But anyways, I've been tying a few of these, so I kind of know got a feel for what size. So you want to match this. It's a dry fly, and we'll throw it on the gauge here. We'll see if the camera can pick that up. So the hackle on the hackle gauge is pretty darn close to a 12 there. Don't know if the camera can pick that up, but it is. I see a lot of the, it comes with this big hole on here to, attach it to the vise, but little hack for you. I glued a magnet on the back of mine, so I can just stick it wherever I need it. I have a screw in my bench, my tying bench here, so I can just stick it on there, get it out of the way. I think it's kind of hard to use if it's at the base of your vise. I don't know. Outstanding David Curry, welcome from Australia. Good day, mate, or good night. You're half a day ahead or half a day behind. We're a half a day behind. You're ahead. Awesome. Welcome. Glad you could join me tonight. We are tying the first of a series, an alphabetical series, A through Z. And this is the letter A. And in my book from Norway, that I'll be tying these all from, this is the apple green. All right, so one of the things, it took me a little while to figure out, but if you have this style of hackle plier, and I have multiple types, you got to have variety. I want to make sure when I grab my feather and work it forward, it's oriented in this fashion opposed to this way, because it's got this little retaining piece, little rubber nipple, and I found that likes to catch on my thread, and if I do it on this side, it's a little bit cleaner. In fact, I might even add a little dab of Dooya in there to keep that clean. Alright, we're going to grab our hackle, and this is just your basic dry fly hackle maneuver. I'm going to do my best. I'm not the greatest at dry fly hackle, but we soldier on. Make sure my thread is all the way forward. And we'll keep these fibers oriented in the same direction. At least that's the theory. This isn't going into the museum, it's going into the water. So we'll just do our best. Nice close touching wraps, that's really the key. That and a solid, consistent tension. I will take this a couple more wraps. Bringing it a little bit closer. We'll do one more. We'll do one more, pack that in there. Here we go. It's interesting because I talked about having that nipple in the back, but that's the way it rotated. And that's the way it is. I find that, just in a general rule of thumb, you really shouldn't be fighting your material. Either it's going to naturally do what it needs to do, and that's, don't fight nature. Secure this tip down and trim off the excess. Here we go. Australia. I like that. I've always wanted to go to Australia. In fact, speaking of Australia, it's interesting the things that capture my attention on YouTube. I spent 15 minutes a little bit ago watching a electric dingo fence machine, trailer mechanism And that was actually pretty interesting. It's interesting watching how they lay all that electric fencing out. It's got to be quite the market. And I will not, for your sake, I will not quote the Seinfeld. Well, I heard it from Seinfeld, kind of a little bit before my time, but anyways, I'm gonna work that hackle, get it cleaned up. And the last step, I had those 3 fibbits in the rear, and I'm going to separate them, one to the left, one to the right, and I'm going to maintain the one in the center. And this is really hard. So this is where you get your bodkin. At least it is for me. My vision is not that great when it comes to these little fibbits. And it looks like I got one piece of stray, couple pieces of stray silk. We'll just give those a little trim. Let's see if we'll put this green, the blue behind it. So there you have it, folks. That is the apple green tied on a size 12. First of my series A to Z. I think that'll work. What do you guys think? What do you think? So, alright, that was the first fly. We'll take a quick pause for the cause, and we'll talk about the giveaway. Dun, da, 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 giveaway. We are pert near, I think we're 8 or 9 weeks or so into this, which is awesome because the closer I am to the finish of the Tie of the Week giveaway, the closer I am to my trip to Montana to go fishing. Alright, so there we have it. That is the Tie of the Week giveaway rules up on my little Graphics RS board. Anyways, the rules for this giveaway, and I got 6 entries for this last week. I left the box that I put everything in is actually by the couch, because I sit down and I write everything down just before I come out here and do the live stream. Anyways, for this giveaway, I'm giving away 12 flies, at least 12 flies. We do have a couple extra here. Anyways, these are all from the Tie of the Week, starting with the Mocha parachutes. We got the Stonefly. We got 2 casting for recoveries, little peacock stimulator, little popper action, little streamer action. And tonight we add right there the apple green to the giveaway. So with this giveaway, you need to come back after this live stream becomes a video. Once it goes into syndication, you need to leave a comment, and that comment counts as your entry, and I will count 1 entry per person per week, and you have 1 week to leave that that comment, because after that, once I start my live stream, the rest of those comments, I appreciate them, but they won't count towards the giveaway. So here we go. Richard, my old man, the Pops, says we leave in 4 weeks. 4 weeks. So that means this must be week 8. Oh my gosh, I'm having a lot of anxiety about it. It was easy to go last time because I didn't have that many flies, and it was really easy to pack because it was just a bring everything. And now I have options, and I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but we'll be hitting the waters with a lot more research. So, Dad, 4 weeks. Check your email. I sent you a copy of the Word document that I was working on. Copied and pasted all those fishing reports in, so you can give those a read at your leisure. Be good to share with the rest of the crew going out fishing with us. Still bring everything. If I brought everything, I'd have to bring an assistant to carry everything. Maybe we can pick up a pack mule. So let's go ahead and tie another one. Another apple green. All right. Hook in the vise. Once again, size 12. This is a Herder's 3029T. Perfect straight bend. How does that make sense? Perfect straight bend. How can it be a perfect straight bend? I don't know. All right, so this time we will not forget to give ourselves a little excess tag end here to hang off the back end, to do a couple turns of that ribbing. All right, right about that 1/3, 2/3 point, we'll start our thread and just kind of work that to the rear, where we'll tie in our white fibbits. 2% of Spirit River, the proceeds were donated to Saving Wild Fish. That is free range, folks, free range fish. So where did I put those little fibbits? I just cleaned the bench off. Makes things a lot easier to locate. That's 4. Can we get one more out of there? Let's see. How many is this? With these fibbits, you don't really see the fibbits. You see the shadow. I think that's 3 of them. Yep. All right, so let's tie this in. Length of the body. There we go. Bring that up. Just keep everything even. We'll take this all the way up to where we'll tie in our hackle. Up front, make sure that's all purdy on top. Next, we'll tie in our silk floss. I have 2 of my 4 strands of silk floss. We'll tie this in right up front, right at the tip of that body. Securing that from the rear to the front to rear. I think that'll work. And we'll fill in all those gaps with our thread. This will give us a nice even body. All right, silk floss gets palmered on, touching wraps. And somehow my ribbing thread got in the mix. And this might disintegrate everything. Let's hope not. Here we go. Gotta keep them separated. I see a rogue fibbit. Here we go. All right. Whew, this silk floss can be very testy. So let's guide it around the tip of that hook. I can actually just put my finger there. That keeps it from sliding forward. I really like the look of this silk floss. Now this can be tied in a few different variations. You could tie it as a wet fly using a soft hackle or a hen hackle. Use a heavier hook. Change the tail up a little bit. Imagination is your only limitation. We'll do one last wrap. There we go. Secure our thread or our floss. Oh yes, Jimmy. Jimmy asks if my dad is a fly tyer himself. He is. When I was growing up, we weren't into fly fishing, but a few years before I got into it, my dad jumped back into the fly fishing and fly tying game, and when I went through the Project Healing Waters program and got into fly tying and fly fishing, it's been awesome. It's been awesome. I get to call him every Wednesday when I'm on my drive home from the VA. Give him the lowdown, how many students we had and how the night went. Usually answers the phone as, "Hey, it's the Woolly Bugger King." Because that's typically what I'm teaching out there, is the Woolly Bugger. Take that thread forward as the ribbing and trim that off. Let's see here. Dave Curry says that he's new to fly tying, and the presentation was instructional, and thank you. Well, you're welcome. I appreciate your vote of confidence. So let's go ahead and check our watches. That's right. It's hackle time. So yeah, back to kind of the coloration of this. You know, on the underneath side, it's nice and white. I don't know if the previous owner was a smoker, if these are, you know, smoke stains, or I don't know. What's your guess, guys? Is this just a smoke age? You know, is he sitting by his fly tying bench, puffing on a cigar or pipe or what? But it's what I have and it's what I'm using, and I think it offers a little bit of creaminess, if you will, to the overall color. A to Z. I was just kind of flipping through the book, and I realized the book was alphabetical. And I really don't have much of a real rhyme or reason as to why I'm tying what I'm tying, for the most part. I mean, I always have a pattern or something in mind when I'm tying a lot of these. So grab our... So here's another thing I like to... One of the things I always talk about when I'm doing the woolly buggers is when you go to grab your hackle, if it's tied in like so, don't try to just grab it here on the left side with your left hand, if you're right-handed. I'll say off the back side with your backhand, because especially if you have any kind of shakes, it's going to be a little difficult. So I always recommend just grabbing the whole dang gum feather, fold it over, hold it nice and firm, and you can grab it like that. Also, I always advise to grab your feather in line, so when it's pulled, it pulls in line, opposed to grabbing your feather on the side, Because if you watch there, the first thing that's going to do when you get tension on it, is that's going to create a pinch point. And we're already dancing the ballet of tension. So we'll keep it easy on ourselves. We'll do nice tight wraps here. Doing our best to keep those fibers splayed out in a beautiful dry fly fashion. And when I do see people kind of first using hackle pliers, there's always the tendency to keep your finger in the tool. I don't get it. I do sometimes. I'll use it to grab, but not to whoop-de-doop-de-doo. That's a technical term, the whoop-de-doop-de-doo. That will be on the quiz later. Kidding, just kidding. I will pack one more in there. So I got to my thread, and I'm not going any further than the thread. I can't. Lock off the hackle. Release the hackle pliers. I'll trim that off. Couple more wraps and we'll give it the old 1, 2, 3 whip finish. Here we go. Whip finish 1, 2, 3. Draw that down nice and tight. There we have it. Trim off our tying thread. And we'll split our fibbets in the rear. We'll take the left side just kind of off there to the left. And I'm pretty sure there's a chart out there somewhere that has specific angles. But what I'm going to tell you is about like so. Splayed out about like so. We'll get this really hard one to see there. Got one. Before we cut it off, let's make sure it's not just make sure it's not lost. Just like that. It didn't need to be trimmed. It was just lost. So they're actually pretty quick and easy to knock out. So, by the numbers, let's check the numbers. So, from last week, we did pretty good. The numbers have all increased slowly but surely. I'm a data guy. I like the numbers. So my subscriber count from last week was on YouTube was 170. We're up to 182 subscribers as of today, which is just mind-blowing. Facebook, just a slight tick up. We got one new like on Facebook this week. We're up to 124. And a big jump in Instagram. Last week we were at 232. This week we're at 249. Almost 250 followers. It's a lot of fun. You know, how much people are actually paying attention, that's up to them, I guess. So a big thank you. Like David Curry on here tonight. Australia. Last I checked, I have views from over 70 different countries, and it means a lot. Just knowing that there's people out there that subscribe and share the passion. It's a lot of fun. So I hope Donna's still watching. Donna, are you still with me? Because we're going to go over this nail knot tool here real quick for the remainder of this live session. We'll get our vise out of the way. So this nail knot, I have my little El Cheapo. This is El Cheapo reel. I don't even understand how it's really supposed to work. Because the way it's set up right now is if I click the lever on the back, it allows me to draw the line out. Set up as somebody who's right-handed. And I can't, unless I click that down, and then it works as a free spool. I don't know if there was supposed to be a spring in here or what, but this would not actually fly and fly fishing. I don't know. It's an old piece of line I took off of another rod or another reel. So, anyways, this is what we're going to be working with. This is your fly line. This is your float line. This is what you see us fly fishermen. And here's actually the end of it, this particular one. And this actually has an eye that's worked onto there. And that's for using an eye-to-eye connection. So, with this nail knot tool, we're going to tie on a nail knot. And with that, we'll use our leader material. In this case, I happen to just have a 1X piece of leader material handy, old school. I wouldn't want to fish this because it's just an antique and old, but it'll work for our demonstration purposes. So you want to take out, let's see, we'll zoom out the camera a little bit. Full zoom out. Okay. So the directions say take about 6 to 8 inches of line out, and the long end of the line, which would be towards my flies, to the left. And I set this in the little gap there and drop it into the tip. And I'm just going to wrap 1, 2, 3, 4 times. I don't think you really need to do much more than 4. I'm going to take the tip of this and run it into the hole there. Holding that down with my finger. Take my fly line, insert it, and grasp it so it doesn't slide out. And now I can slowly work the leader material off. And now once that's on there, without it being too tight yet, I can slide it more or less into position, a little bit closer to the end of my float line, my fly line. I'm just going to bunch those all up. Work it nice and tight and give that a lot of tension. So at this point I would take my nippers, but I don't have my nippers here. I'll just take my scissors, trim that off, and then nice and close to the nail knot, trim that off. And that, I believe, unless somebody can tell me otherwise, is how to do a nail knot, which I believe is correct. So, also with this nail knot tool, we can use that same tool to actually tie on our fly. And to do so, let's go ahead and we'll pick out a big fly, something easy to see. What do I have handy? Here we go. We got a sad looking. This is an old. Oh, what do you call that? Not thunder, not lightning. Thunder Creek streamer. This is early experimentation days. So anyways, what you do is you run your thread through the eye like normal. Draw out your thread. Not your thread. I'm so used to talking about fly tying. Hook your hook on the back here. It's got this little spot to hook your hook. We can lay this all down again. And I can do the same thing. I can take my line and go 1, 2, 3, once more for 4. Draw that all tight. And the theory is we should be able to just slide that all the way down. You have a perfect little cinch knot at the end. So there you go, Donna. That is the nail knot tool. Not too proficient at it, as you could tell, but we got it on our fly line end, and we just used it on the actual fly. So in between that gap, you wouldn't have 6 inches of line. You'd want your leader tapering down into your tippet, etc., etc. So here we go. All right, well, we're going to wrap it up. We tied a couple of flies. We tied a couple of knots. Had a lot of fun. Got to talk to a viewer from Australia. We had a viewer from North Carolina. We have a viewer from St. Cloud here in Minnesota. A viewer from Michigan. So, hey, we're all tied up together. So, we'll put the fly back up there. One last Pikachu at the fly. I'll zoom in on her. So, that's it, folks. That is the apple green. First of my A to Z series. Fret not. There will be some other letters mixed in there in between as we work through this. I can't just restrict myself to just that because, I don't know, I just might want to tie a popper or a Royal Coachman, or who knows what will pop up. I just like to tie and share it with you guys. All right, be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the share button, do me that solid, get the word out there. All tied up, fly tying school, hitting the airwaves Sundays at 6 o'clock. Videos posted throughout the week. Step by step, fast forward videos. How about it? All right, guys. Thanks again for watching. Tight lines.